We're at the Virginia Mason Athletic Center, also known as the VMAC in Renton, where Coach Pete Carroll is about to talk about the ultimate 12th man, Paul Allen, the Seahawks owner, who recently passed away after his third battle with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
We've all been deeply moved by the sudden passing of Paul Allen. We're still in the midst of dealing with all of just the emotions and the concerns and all that come to you immediately at a time like this. And so around here we're all hanging together and staying really close and just making sure that we're doing all the things that we need to do to carry on and really and maintain the effort and the spirit that Paul always stood for. Extraordinary achievement, extraordinary idealist, keep pushing always to do great things. And I feel fortunate that we're the ones that get to carry on the messaging in that regard. And we have this extraordinary way to connect with the people in the area through our play. And sometimes sports just serves it perfectly when you need it. And this is a good time for this. This was a great man. Extraordinary guy to work with and compete with, and a good friend and all of that. So the families and everybody, our hearts go out to everyone. We miss every aspect of our relationship. But with that, we miss a good friend.
So, Coach Deborah Horn from Carroll 7, did we did know because we saw the news release from Mr. Allen on October 1st that his cancer had returned. He sounded so hopeful in that. Did any of you have a sense that the end was so near?
Well, he was very hopeful. That's the way his messaging was, and he said it directly to me, ready for the battle. And he had been through it before, so he was, he said, like he would, being a good leader, he communicated to us that there was hope and he was going for it. But he had become ill. He had become unable to do some of the things he had normally been able to do and travel and going to games and things like that because of his illness. But so there were some signs in that regard, and he was weakened. Yeah, he was weakened. So, but it still happened very suddenly.
You said that you would not have left USC if not for your belief in Paul. What was it at that stage when you were considering whether to leave or not that struck you about Paul and maybe want to come to this?
He was able to pass along the spirit that he now we know, I know, wanting to go for it, and kind of no holds barred, and he was going to clear it for us to have a great chance to do great things, and he wanted to win championships, and that's what he was all about, and he wasn't going to let anything get in the way, and he was really clear about that, and the message that came through was really one that I hadn't heard in that fashion, with that commitment and that spirit of it, and that's what made it even possible to even be in the conversation about it. And so, and Todd Lewicki was really the one that passed along the messaging at the time and reassured in a way that was, I trusted, and I found trust early in that conversation, that relationship, that became one that was so well founded as I learned later on as we got together and then really started going about it, battling together, doing things we needed to do to put the program together.
How familiar did you become of the circumstances around his buying the team 21 years ago? What would have happened had that not happened?
Yeah, I'm not real. I knew that it was happening at the time. I had some people that were involved that I knew way back when, but not until I got here and realized, the statement that he made by taking the stand and really standing up for the place that he loved. I think all of the things that Paul has done has demonstrated to us what we all wish we would have done given the opportunity. The extraordinary wealth that came in their way because of the great ideas, the concepts, and the principles, opened up a doorway for him to give back to the place that he was so connected to, and he did it any way he could. He's always been that way, and having to come out in the world of sports and this fantastic franchise that he was able to construct and support, and the stadium and all of the things in the 12s and all of the amazing things that have come because of that, his inspiration early on. I didn't know about it way back when, but was surely made aware of it here in the last decade, and it's been a blast being part of it.
Coach, I spoke to Mike Holmgren yesterday, and he described Paul Allen as the best owner he ever worked for.
Yeah, well, he's certainly that. I echo that with Mike. You couldn't ask for a better guy to support what we're trying to do here. Paul had a great thought about he wanted to put people in charge and give them what they needed and the resources they needed, and then he'd go for it. He wanted you to go for it. And he didn't want you to hold back. He wanted to, at all times, be pushed ahead. And that's all we could ever hope for, And he was not a hands-on owner, but his spirit was on everything that we were doing. And the message was clear of how he wanted us to go about our business. That's why John and I worked in such concert from the beginning. You couldn't ask for a better format and a better setup, and that's why I wanted to find my way here. So I think Coach Mike was on it.
Will you stay?
Absolutely.
Coach, can you talk about the succession plan? What happens next?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's time to be engaging into that conversation. And we're more into the conversation about recognizing what just took place and how to respect Paul and his desires and all of that. There's plenty of time to talk about all that stuff, and then it's not even a factor in our minds. I know, and I understand the interest and all that. There'll be plenty of time.
Is there anything you want to say to fans, though, in terms of just reassuring them?
Well, I don't know how our fans couldn't be assured that of course, nothing's changing. Paul wouldn't want us to do anything different than what we're doing, which is to go for it and to represent it every way that we can until you can. And we're going to go for it, but just in that fashion.
Are there any?
I can't imagine that just in this season, as they've watched our club and watched our club start to grow and turn, that they can't find the excitement and the enthusiasm. And I don't think there's any reason to think anything other than positive and upbeat in support of that.
I think this morning on the radio we said that he knew there was a space for people to be different. How did that spirit embody the team and your style and how the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, we've been a little bit different around here, I couldn't have loved the way he embraced that, his liberal thinking, his openness, his kind of zeal for the arts and fun and game and what was different. He didn't want to be the same as everybody else. He wanted to do special, unique, extraordinary things. And he appreciated whenever we were going through whatever the phases that we've been through and the stuff that we've encountered over our years together. He was always supportive. He was never embarrassed by something that a player would say or how they acted. He knew that there was a time and a place if we could deal with it properly. He always felt that there was ways that we could work our way through things if we were really resourceful, and he was always helpful when necessary. So he was just a good dude. He was fun to do things with, and he was for me, I knew that I could freewheel and figure out stuff and go for it. Throw the ideas by him, and almost always he would have suggestions, but always be in support of, not trying to be like everybody else, but doing things in a unique fashion, and we fit very well together in that sense.
You guys pretty regularly have pre-game conversations. What were the nature of those like, and what kind of information did you get?
Yeah, he just wanted to know how much we were going to blitz, if we had trick plays and stuff, basically. By that time, that close to game time, there would always be questions about guys who were hurt or healthy and all that kind of stuff. I always want to know about the quarterback, what we're hoping to do, and how we're going to defend the other quarterback. So it's pretty basic, fundamental stuff that a fan would want to know going into the game if they could ask the head coach, Unfortunately, I didn't have enough good answers for him. I wish I had better answers for him. But for the most part, we just kind of had fun with it, and kind of enjoyed the excitement of the day and what was coming, and the challenge and what we're trying to accomplish and all that.
Coach, what will you miss about Paul Allen as your boss?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'm going to miss the spirit of his vision. Look what he's stood for. Look what he's done. Look at all of the amazing places he's taken us to because he could and because it was there to be challenged. Whether he was whether it's in space or whether it's under the ocean, whether it's in the farthest reaches of the globe and chasing diseases and freeing animals and saving the elephants and I mean all the amazing things that he stood for it. It's just being around an amazing individual like that, you know, that had that kind of vision, and it never was about the resources. It never was about the amounts of things. It was about the challenge of discovery and stuff that was so great, and it was so much fun to be associated with. You know, we're never. Haven't been very fortunate to be around anybody like that and of that nature, and so I feel very fortunate to miss that guy.
Did anything stand out to you about how he interacted with players or anything you saw there? You talked about your relationship with him, anything with his players.
I don't know if there's anything extraordinary about it. His openness, you know, I think maybe that's what would be most special. His openness to people from all different backgrounds and makeups and all that. He was a very open, wide open thinker, liberal thinker, and very receptive to the uniqueness and the differences that people have. You've heard me talk about uniqueness a lot, about our players. Well, that's just echoing the kind of way that Paul would look at things. You know, he wanted us to find special qualities in everything that we were doing and in the people that we were dealing with, and we were in concert to the end with that one.
Do you have a favorite Paul Allen story, memory?
Yeah, I would think that, you know, we take it back to the Super Bowl. You know, to have a chance to be together, you know, with the guy that meant so much to him. And he's a winner now. He wanted to be a champion. And to be up on the stage with him, you know, in the crowd and the confetti flying and all that, and to just be there with him. That's my favorite moment with Paul. Now, there was a great moment later on that night when he was on stage and he was playing, and he was hitting it. And he thought he was Eddie Vedder or something up there. He was going, you know. But I think that was the great moment that we got to share, that he got to have it, you know, because this is, you can have all the money in the world, but you know, it's really hard to have that world championship, and it meant everything to him. So to be able to share that with him was amazing.
What has it meant to you to be part of his legacy and what he's built here in Seattle with his Seahawks team?
Well, it's been a life's experience, really. This one, you know, I had this amazing time in down in Southern California, and we never really could imagine that we could match something like that. But we were able to do that here, you know, and come up and you know, connect with the community, represent a huge area that people care so much about. You know, this turned out to be a life's experience, you know, for us and the family and all, and we've been able to share in really unforgettable ways.
Have you thought about how to honor him for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm going to do it by competing. Yeah, I'm going to give you everything.
You mentioned the Super Bowl then. I guess after the Super Bowl loss, what were your interactions with Paul and the team and all supporters when you kind of talked through that game with?
Yeah, we did all of that. He was, as far as I was concerned, and the people that, you know, the staff and the people we dealt with and all that, he was just as championship in victory as he was in the defeat. We immediately went to work, you know, what was coming up next and all of that, since we turned the corner. But he supported John and I in a beautiful fashion.
Coach, any specific plans for a tribute at the next game?
It's just getting kicked around now. There certainly are some things that are going to happen. No specifics on it yet. The ideas are being formulated.
Coach, do you know when the funeral is or anything you can
No,
tell us about that?
At this point, we don't know.
Football question? The performance in London, I guess, just your thoughts on it now, a couple days, how you guys play.
Well, it's fun that we have a bye in this regard, because we had so much fun and it was such a good game for us, and we get to kind of have some fun with it for a little bit longer. We're just starting to move, you know, and you can feel that happening, and to have a nice game like that and go into a break and, you know, we kick into the last 10 games of this regular season, as we start this thing up, this is a good time for us, and we have very high hopes that we can keep getting better, and we just get rolling. I'll never not be frustrated by the way we started this season, but we're moving, and this is kind of how we've done it over the years, and we got a chance. We have a really nice team, and guys in this room know that, and their energy coming out of that game, they had a great time. It was a great locker room, and we had a blast.
What did you show this morning that you can see the future? You like the way the pieces are falling into place as far as the
Yeah, very much so. And I'm very familiar with feeling the kind of the focus that has been generated by the stuff that coaches have been doing, turning on football, getting it together, playing good defense, and moving the ball in offense on the ground, kicking the ball well, playing good solid football. That gets you a lot of success in this level of the game of football. And there's a real style about it that we can sense now, and so. One week at a time. We just need to keep riding and see how far it takes us.
Coach, one question I didn't ask was, how did Paul Allen get along with the players? When I talked to Mike Holmgren, he said he would stand there as they were coming back and shake hands with each of them. Did he continue that under your tenure?
Yeah, for the most part. He's quiet. He's a quiet man, and very directly, very humbly, and he dealt with players. He was a little, he was shy, he was a little shy in general. He wasn't really outgoing and pushy in any way. He was very receptive and all that, but he's a quiet guy in general.
Did you feel it all during that first drive that you were going to score there, but it had been over?
Yeah, that's been a long time. I didn't talk about that. That's been a long time since we had a touchdown. Way too many weeks to count. I can only talk about not starting fast for so long. I got to get one. It was really a nice job by the offense. Calling of the plays, setting the tone for the game. I think all happened in the first drive. How many was it 13 plays or 15 plays? 14 plays. Yeah, 14 plays there, and we scored a couple times, which is good. We've had to score a couple times in the drive so far. I don't know why that pull that off, but it's just a good statement. It's just good for us to keep that behind us.
It seems like dating back to training camp, Frank Clark has always had setbacks, but he always seems to play well. He had that wrist thing at the start, the food poisoning, and then this past game, I know you said he got sick or something. What have you kind of seen from him in that pass rush, just continuing to show that he's elite on that defense?
Yeah, he's an extraordinary competitor now because he's overcoming things all the time. He's overcome a lot of things in his life that's made him who he is, and he just seems to respond and bounces back. He comes up with a really good frame of mind even though things are difficult, and finds positive to go for and generates effort. He's such an exciting player in terms of his effort and motive that we've always talked about. Even when times are tough, he brings it. He's been practicing at a really high level for us. When he was sick a week ago, but when he's out there, I've just noted it numbers of times. It's just his effort and how it's carrying over into the way he plays. And so Frank's doing a great job, and he was really explosive in this game. He was giving them all kinds of trouble. It was great to see.
The illness he had in the second half, did that have anything to do with what he was dealing with last week?
I don't know that. He was sick getting to the plane, so he was not feeling well. So I don't know if it's connected. It seemed like it was similar, but the doctor wrote me. I don't know what's going on with that right now.
It looked like he was rushing out of a 2-point stance a few times Sunday. What's the thinking behind that?
It just makes it, he feels comfortable at times. Sometimes it's for disguise. There's practices that way, we like him in both stances, but I like him down a 3-point stance for the most part, flying off the football. He scares me. Offensive lineman with him, so to get offset.
When you drafted David and Chris in that 7th round, did you expect them to be contributing the way they are so early in the career?
I had a better feel for Chris than David. The level of play in Okie State versus directionally Oklahoma. I give him a hard time, but I don't know the school. I'm sorry. Apologize to the school. No, I didn't know that. But I thought Chris really had a chance to be something very unique. And we loved David's strength and the power that he played with. It's just the level of play was hard to determine how he would transition. He looks like he's going to really have a terrific season. He's really off to a great start. And there's a lot of things we can still do with him. It's really just bringing him in.
Coach, how were you able to control gosh, how can I not remember the name? Marshawn Lynch, during the game, at least from my understanding.
I had trouble remembering his name also.
But how were you able to control him in the way that you were? Is he just old
I
or
thought
just
he
great?
played. I thought he played a terrific football game. He was playing so hard. He was playing as tough as I could ever remember playing, and he made some really good run, catch and run things happen. He gave it everything he had. Our guys were hitting him as hard as they could hit him. It was really. I thought it was a really obvious demonstration of respect on both sides, and both. I thought both sides were going for it, and I thought he played really well. We just couldn't quite get him loose.
How's Ed?
And Dixon's in really good shape, knocking on wood, hoping we can make it through. We think he's going to be able to go coming out next week. I'll tell you too, KJ has had a couple of really good days too, and we think he's on track for getting back to compete to practice. He'll practice with us and compete to play next week when we return.
You said you've seen this before. What can you say about the defensive secondary in terms of those guys are young and expected?
Yeah, we're getting going. I think we're getting going. We're off to a good start right now. I like the playmaking. The physical nature of it fits the way we've always wanted to play. I really like that Shaq has stepped from first year one to year two and playing so consistently at corner. And it seems that Trey is off to a very good start, starting as a rookie. On the other side, Bradley McDougal's been the leader back there, and Tedrick now is taking over at the safety spot. And we're getting after it pretty good. We got a lot of tests coming up. A great one coming up with Detroit and Matthew Stafford coming up another week. And we'll just keep taking one step at a time, but they're making good progress, and they're holding the numbers down. We're staying on top pretty well, and the ball's been coming our way some. So it's been a very good start to the season for these guys. I think a lot of people would have wondered otherwise and thought that wasn't going to happen. And so I'm excited to show you that these guys can ball, and they got a chance to do some really good things and really add to this team.
Nick Vanette's status, how's his back?
Yeah, he has a continuing issues that he's dealing with. He doesn't have an injury, but he's got kind of a condition that he's working with, and he's doing some special work this week and next week to be back. We think he'll be back, but it is something we're monitoring along the way.
Similar to what you said he's doing with the first couple of years of his
Yes, yeah, it's related.
Did KJ have any sort of setback in his recovery?
Quite a while ago, yes, he did. After about it was week 3 or so, I think it was, coming back. We were really on. We were going to try to get him back in 3-4 weeks, and there was even talk about 2 weeks, which sounded crazy to me. But he was going for it, and it just couldn't quite turn the corner. So we had to step back a bit, and now he's back on track.
How's Sheen? Green?
He'll be back. He's in good shape. He ran well at the Grove and looked good in England as long as he crossed the ocean and come back over here.
One more
I
thing.
know that about that.
One more thing.
JD's his timeline is a little different than Ed's, but he's doing great. And as soon as he can come back, he'll be ready to come back.
The offense was described as like high-tech and intellectual over the offseason. How much of that is what Russell we don't see before the players?
But Russell's doing more than he's ever done before. He's orchestrating and controlling the play calling, adjustments at the line of scrimmage when he can. And he's just been brought to a different level of responsibility. And he's doing a nice job with it. And you can see him putting us in, he's putting us in position to run the ball effectively now, and as well as in the passing game. So he's grown and he's improved.
Coach, I know you said you're going to carry on in Paul Allen's legacy and carry on the work that he started, but can you be more specific on how he will influence you specifically as you move forward and the team?
Well, I think just wanting to do my part, give back to in gratitude, appreciation for all that he's given myself and my family, and I know all of our coaches and families. We're going to battle for him, and either competing or not. And that's kind of the way I think we can best give tribute to what he would want us to do. I'd love to live in his image of wanting to win championships and keep moving forward and do great things. And I don't see any reason why that's not still out there. We're going for it. And I feel pretty good about telling you that that's how we're going about it.
How do you feel about splitting up those snaps in the backfield, getting Penny back integrated? How do you feel about that balance with Chris?
I thought it was pretty good this week. Somewhere in the middle of the third quarter, I said to Rashad that get ready. Fourth quarter's yours, and knowing that we had a chance to run the clock and do all that because we're ahead, I knew he was going to get a good shot to get in there. Just get going. He just needs to play. And he did fine. He did a good job. So yeah, I only got 9 or 10 carries in the fourth quarter. By the end of the fourth quarter. So Chris had a good mix. Mike had a good mix, and I'm telling you, I can't tell you what's going to happen this week. Next time we go out, we're going to start the game off. Chris is going to start the game. Mike will be coming off the bench. Rashad will be coming off the bench and looking for their reps. And from there, we'll make the decision what's necessary for the game. To be able to do that only makes us stronger down the road. Those 3 guys to play that much just makes us better going forward. So I'm okay about doing that when we get the opportunity.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.